Grab your passports, pop open a fresh Molson. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is the site for tonight's race as the 3-Wide Racing Esports League is live on Evolution Racing Network. Welcome in, everybody. Alongside Michael Sheffield, I'm Steve Kerpel. Tonight we're going to have 25 laps around a road course after last week's race at Bristol, which was a thriller. So these truck drivers are going to be in for a different type of race tonight, Michael. And I want to turn things over to you. We seen last week a door banging, kind of race where if you had the clean truck, you made it to victory lane. And that was John Kea. He was able to pull off the win last week at Bristol. Now this week, a totally different beast. What are we in store for tonight?
Tonight's going to be a shell shock for sure. Go from a half-mile oval to a 2.5-mile road course with 10 turns, uphill, downhill, constant change in elevation. Truck balance is going to be left to right going through a lot of these sweeping corners. Tonight's going to be, a lot about can you keep it on the track. We'll see how the guys have with speed. Probably got some road course racers here in this league that, you never know who's going to prevail and dominate. It's going to be all about who can make the least mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a different style of race. And, first, let's take a look at what these truck drivers are going to be dealing with tonight. 78-degree air temp, clear skies. This is going to be an afternoon race. Wind won't be a factor. That's going to translate to 115 degrees out on the track, which is going to affect the grip somewhat, being a hot track. And I think if you're one of these guys, you need to be able to just race the track. Don't really race the other guys. Race the track, keep it on the track, and you should do fine. Like we mentioned, these guys are slated for 25 laps tonight. They're scheduled to have 3 extra sets of tires, 1 fast repair, so if they do go off track and get into, a concrete barrier or get any sort of damage, they can go down pit road once and get actually a brand new truck and get right back out there. They will have 3 extra sets of tires, but the thing about this, Michael, and, if my math is right, we're looking at probably about a 30-lap fuel run, so I don't even know if we will see any of these leaders, will they take a gamble and pit for tires?
Tires is going to be the issue tonight. You don't want to burn them up. Fuel is not going to be a question. You get 30 laps on a tank of fuel, that won't even come into play. The heat and these tires is going to be the major factor here, and you bring up a very valid point. Tonight's going to be about racing the track and not worrying about what everybody else is doing. The harder part is going to be when you get around other trucks, where their braking points are, where they're going in the corners. You're going to have to find the right spot if you need to overtake someone to complete that pass. And just looking at the track layout, turn 5 is going to be the turn that's going to make you or break you for the night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is... it's a crazy turn as we see. We're live here right now, and qualifying's kicked off, and we are on last week's winner right now. You see, locks up the brakes going into that turn 5, and that's where you're gonna earn your paycheck or you're gonna be in trouble because it's a hard braking zone. It's kind of like a really big horseshoe, but kind of more spread out, and the braking zones are going to be really tough here tonight. And, as we switched over to qualifying, important to note that if these guys go off track during their qualifying lap, the lap will not count. So that's going to be important, especially if, you're one of these guys that, wants to be on the pole, wants to be up front. You got to keep that truck on the track for your whole qualifying lap.
It's going to be a fine line. You've got to push the truck enough to get a good time down. Of course, the first lap, you're going to have green tires. You're not going to be able to push the truck as well. You just got to keep it on track the first lap and really focus in on your second lap. Key with these road courses is if you make a mistake, you've got to just gather yourself back up, and focus on the rest of that lap. Where you end up hurting yourself is when you try to make up that time that you lost in that lap, because you're going to push yourself too far and push it right off track. So you make a mistake, you just got to gather it back up, forget the mistake, focus on the rest of that lap, and try to make it up a little bit of time over the next 10 lap. You can't make up the time you lost in one lap here, off of one mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, Mike. And I think, throughout this race, I mean, 25 lap race. It may seem short, but on a road course like this, it's definitely there's definitely time to, rebound if you do make a mistake, and these guys should be okay. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get our national anthem in here, and when we get back, we will have your starting lineup for tonight's Chevy Silverado 250.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's light we are gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
All right, race fans, welcome back in. Your starting lineup for tonight: Chevy Silverado 250 from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. On the pole, in the number 5, AJ DeMarzo. On his outside will be the 88 of Nick Radar. Row number 2, last week's winner, the 99 of John Kea. On his outside will be the 82 of Mike Everidge. Row number 3, newcomer Mike Flees in the 4 truck. On his outside will be the 21 of Carlos Ramos. And slotting in 7th, the 19 Randy Coaching. And on his outside will be Robert Duryea in the 42. Michael, take us the rest of the way.
Starting 9th, we'll have the 24 of Ernest King. 10th will be Robert DuPont in the number 7. Peter Harbour will be starting 11th in the number 444. 12th will be Matthew Jaggard in the 12th. And starting 13th will be George Rincon in the number 28.
And we will have it, folks, right there. That's how they will grid up. That's how they'll get this thing started. And before we go green here, Michael, 25 laps. We know that it's gonna be tough. These guys are gonna have to do their best to keep the truck on the track. Don't race the track. Don't try to be really competitive, I want to say, right out of the gate. I think how turn 1 turns out once the green flag is dropped on this thing is really going to give us an idea on how this race is going to go.
Yeah, and fortunately here, turn 1 is more of a sweeping turn, whereas Watkins Glen, it can tend to pile up in turn 1. You're looking at, a sharp turn. Everybody's trying to get up to speed. Everybody's trying to figure out the sliding position. The earlier they get single file, the better off I think they'll be, especially on the green tires here. Uh, too much speed in one of these corners, you slide off, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is honestly going to be a race of discipline, getting heat build up in those tires. Get through turn one. I mean, if you could take anything away from, the pace lap we're watching right here is, if I'm myself and I'm in one of those trucks, the only thing I want to do, get through turn one. Let's get settled in and see what we could do.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you're gonna have to pay attention to if you're, not leading the race. You're gonna have to pay attention to the break points of everyone else. You're gonna have to ride behind them for half a lap. Determine where you're gonna be able to make that move. Determine where you're stronger than the truck in front of you, and kind of set it up. Get yourself in position. Capitalize on the mistake, but the key thing here is going to be racing the track. Don't worry about what's in your mirror. You're going to have to worry about what's in front of you, but try not to pay attention to what's going on in your mirror too much and push the truck and because you're worried you're going to get passed and end up driving off course. Just set your pace, hit your marks, and maintain your focus, and I think you'll have a pretty good race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And you know what, folks? Tighten up the seatbelts. iRacing.com pace car is on pit road as they come out of the first turn. Let's go to work. 3 wide racing under green here at Canadian Tire.
Coming through the first turn now, it's like everybody's given plenty of space, which is a good sign. Should be getting single file here coming up to turn two.
Yeah,
Tough thing here is your turn two is going to be downhill, and as we see, the four truck ran off. If he could gather it back up, get it back on track, he should be in pretty good shape here.
and he does. He will get it back on the track, and it looks like he won't have any contact with anybody. AJ DiMaggio able to grab the lead going into turn one, and he's looking to put a little bit of space between him and the 88 of Nick Rader.
Yeah, this track there's a lot of blind braking zones, a lot of the top of the hill, so it's gonna be set your pace as we see a move right now in the 19 and 42 just got by the 21 and coming up through turn five.
Yeah, 21, Carlos Ramos. Um, last week was looking pretty good. Trying to get a little bit of a bounce back here tonight, and a lot of these guys that maybe didn't have the fortune they were looking for last week at Bristol, because I mean we did see a lot of beating and banging. This is a good opportunity to come in, and like we mentioned, and I'm sure we'll continue to mention, is keep the truck on the track, and you might walk out of here with a top 10, top 5 finish.
Yeah, colors could have been thinking, I'm just these guys in a rush. I'm gonna let them go. I'm gonna focus on what I'm doing, and set my pace, maintain my pace. Let everybody else push it to the limit. I'm just gonna sit back here, battle the track, and probably make up some time. Eventually, one of them runs off. He goes by him. It's gonna be a who can maintain the line and just stay consistency. Slow is going to be slow and steady is going to be fast here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look, Matthew Jaggard is the number 2 truck, but he's in the 42 Credit One Bank here truck tonight. He's up 7 spots, as you see, making the pass on the 19 of Randy Coaching there. He's up 7 spots from the drop of the green flag. So Matthew Jaggard, he's definitely come prepared to maybe get some work done here tonight.
Yeah, and Robert Duria just slid off in turn 5, but it looks like he was able to keep it going. A little bit of minimal damage, just slowly work your way back on track. 42 got by the 19 there. It looked like the 19 kind of came in a little too hot and just opened the door on the inside.
Yeah, and as we take a look back up front here, that is your lead. AJ DeMarzo still holds a little bit of a gap over the 88 of Nick Rader as they come down here through, down in this long straightaway coming up here. And I'm going to be interested to see when when these tires get worn in, what that's going to do to the braking zones, Mike, because we both know that, especially on these downhill, when you're going downhill into some of these turns, I mean, you really got to get on the brakes hard, especially for this turn 5 that they're going through right now.
Well, and they are running a fixed setup. They do have an adjustment with the brake bias. So depending on their braking style, whether they're a hard braker, whether they ride the brakes in, hard at first, they can make those adjustments to help the truck get settled in the corner, shift that weight forward, get the truck slowed down. Unfortunately, the more forward you put it, push the brakes, the longer it takes for the truck to slow down, gives you more control of the front tires and makes it a lot easier to start getting around a corner.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the 19 of Randy Coaching go off track there slightly. Not too bad, honestly. If it's going to happen, that was actually probably one of the better places where it's actual pavement and not sand or grass. Pretty easy to kind of regain himself. As we look down through the field here, these guys are starting to settle into a little bit of a groove here mid pack. We're looking at the 28 of George Rincon. He's up 5 spots from the start of this thing. So we're starting to see guys that are trying to get into a rhythm, get the track down, try to nail them breaking points, and start moving up through the field. And we've
And
seen the two of Matt Jaggard and the 28 George Rincon. They seem to have that figured out.
Yeah, your top 4 are kind of breaking away a little bit. Looks like AJ is starting to pull away a little bit from second and third. They're all seeming to just be running their line, maintaining a consistent pace, and that's where it's going to pay off. Now, I'm wondering with 25 laps, are they going to try to even take tire?
Yeah, I mean, if you're out there with 5, 10 laps to go, and the truck feels good, you got a pretty good, comfortable lead. I mean, if it was me, I would bypass a pit stop, just because you don't know what you're going to get on pit road. You could go in there and slide your box 2 spots, and there goes your race just to get a set of fresh shoes. We know these guys are going to be good on fuel. So I think if you're out in the lead in the later part of this race, I would say why risk going down pit road for tires? Just finish it off.
Yeah, if they're closing in behind you, you can probably do the math and figure, okay, it's going to take them, 10 laps, 5 laps at the pace that they're gaining for them to catch me. If I can just maintain my pace and, I can maintain my position, why it's going to be risk versus reward here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. As we see the 99 of John Kay, last week's winner we mentioned, come through turn 5. Actually, a pretty smooth turn for him, and not looking too bad so far. Said he was going to get in, do a lot of practice this week. He's got a top 3 truck right now, sitting right there in third spot, as him and Nick Rader try to chase down the 5 of AJ DeMarzo. And I'll tell you what, this honestly is, we didn't really know what to expect coming into this race. And so far, I mean, we only have one truck that's not on the lead lap. The 7 of Robert DuPont made a trip down pit road. He seems to be struggling a little bit, but everybody else on the lead lap, and these guys aren't, banging into the barriers or anything like, we sort of expected. There, a couple of guys have gone off track, but it hasn't been anything, too detrimental so far.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the top 5, and the times are really close. Other than the leader, AJ's running 124.69. Radar around on 124.62, so he was a little faster as his best lap. But their last was all in the 125s. So, it's Mike Everett is sitting there in 4th, and he actually just ran a better lap than the truck in front of him. So, it's going to be, you make a mistake, just gather it up, get your feet back under you,
Yeah.
and focus forward.
As we see the 82 of Mike Everidge turns it around in turn 5 there, and he's gonna lose a ton of spots trying to get that thing. Now finally gets it back on the track. And that's what we're going to see, folks, later in this race when these tires get worn. Guys, they're gonna walk those brakes up going into these hard braking zones, and that's what's going to happen. The truck's just going to go right around on you, as you saw the 82 of Mike Everidge do right there.
Yeah, and as long as you don't make any contact to a wall or anything too major, and you can get your truck back on the track, go ahead and get it down pit road if you need repairs. But if you hit it hard enough and you're not able to continue in that corner, there's going to be another factor that comes into play, and that's towing time. You get the fast repair, but if it takes you 3 minutes to tow, that's going to be time you lose on the track.
Right, and I mean we see these guys running about a minute 25 average lap times right now. So you take in 3 minutes, you're gonna lose 2 laps right there, plus the time it takes you to do your repairs on pit road. So there's something to think about, and I think every driver has it on their mind that hey, regardless of where you want to finish the race, period. And keeping it on the track is going to be your best bet to do that thing.
Well, looking at its time and scoring, George Rincon on the 28 has moved up 7 spots from the start of the race. Seems like he's running a pretty consistent pace here, 125s. At this rate, who knows? He might have something for the guys in the long run here.
Right, we see him moving up the field, and we mentioned Matthew Jaggard in the Credit 142 truck. He's up 8 spots from the start. Already has cracked the top 5. So these two guys, maybe a force at the end of this thing, because I don't care who you are. If you're AJ DeMarzo, yeah, you're sitting on a nice 3.4 second lead. But if you put that thing off the track once, that lead goes away real quick.
Yeah, it will, and people will capitalize very fast. It just takes one mistake here to go from the front to the back, or no mistakes is the ideal scenario. If you can, the pace he's setting, if he can just maintain a comfortable gap, keep his truck under him, and just not push it to the limit, I think he'll be sitting in pretty good shape, because he's still distancing himself. Second and third right now seem to be pretty close together, so that might be a developing battle over the next few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look right now at the 88 of Nick Rader, we mentioned he's, right now about 3.5 seconds back, but he has the 99 of John Kaya closing in on him, last week's winner. And, I bet you he definitely wants to make it 2 for 2 as they both come out of turn number 10 down to the start-finish line. We're still considered in the early parts of this race, Mike. We've only really done about 6 or 7 laps here so far. But from what we could tell, the front runners, DeMarzo, Rader, and Kea, they feel like they have this track figured out as far as what they have to do to keep their truck on the track, keep it out of trouble. But now it's, within the next, I would say, 10 laps, I think for Rader and Kea, it's what do we got to do to catch that 5 truck?
Yeah, and I think right now, probably, I would say lap 13 to 15. If you see anybody's going to take tires, that's going to be the time, about midway, to see if there's any possible gain out of taking the tires whatsoever. I mean, the qualifying laps are 124s. They're running 125s now. So you're looking at a second max is the difference in almost 10 laps, which isn't huge. The amount of time you're going to lose on pit road, you've got to be able to make that up plus some.
Absolutely. And folks, while we were just talking about that, the 99er John Kea did go off track. We're going to take you back here to that. And You see, he just comes down. He's on the downhill, coming down into that nasty, nasty turn there, and he just, he's comes down. He kind of gets that inside turtle, and he just kind of sails it, and he catches the gravel, loosens it up, and around he goes. That turn 5, we mentioned that's tough because it's a downhill braking zone going into that wild horseshoe-like turn. So the 99 John Kay didn't lose a spot. He's still holding it in third, but he did pretty much fall off big time compared to where he was. So
Yeah,
now
and that's kind of
sorry, I didn't
slid
mean
him
to.
back. No, that's fine. He kind of slid him back to the grasp of Matthew Jaggard, who's up 8 positions, and he's probably looking ahead. He might be pushing a little bit, seeing the 99 get loose there going through, turn 5. So that group of 3 trucks behind him is running pretty consistently together. That's going to be a developing battle later on the run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're those guys, you see that happen, and it kind of makes you think, okay, the tires are getting worn in. We know that it's a nasty brake zone. It kind of puts a little bit of a mindset that, hey, we need to be careful as well, or that could be us spinning out.
Yeah, I see Andrew commented on the Facebook broadcast. We hate you missed it too, bud. I hope you'll be back next week and have a good run there too.
Yeah, Andrew, we miss you out here on the track, buddy. Hopefully we'll catch you next week. And speaking of next week, North Wilkesboro, Michael, we're going to talk about this a little more towards the end of the race. But I'll tell you what, these guys, they run
99 slid off again right there.
Yes, he sure did. John Kay having a little bit of trouble as the 42 will make a look to the inside, and he will get him along with the 21 of Carlos.
He might lose 3 positions right here.
Yeah, the 99, last week's winner, John Kay, struggling a little bit right here, trying to get the wheel back under him. I think, right now this is a time where you kind of just got to take a couple of deep breaths, let whatever's going to happen, and try to get back into it. As, boy, that's a nasty, as the 21 and the 99 make contact going through turn 5, and they will collect the 28 of George Rincon also, who was up 8 spots going into that spot right there, that turn 5. He caught the inside turtle, and it was just no good for them. Let's take a look at that again.
Looks like they're both able to get it going again, which is a good sign. So
right, we see the 21 locks the brakes up hard coming into that turn 5. Kind of just clips tries to give the 99 of John room. He hits the inside turtle, pushes him up, and the 21 tries to lock him down, spins into him, catches that inside wall, and it kind of just bounces the truck out, and they catch the 28 of George Rincon. And it's just unfortunate, but it's something you got to expect with tight racing like we're seeing, especially going through a turn like that.
yeah, and this track with these temps, and I've run laps here, and it's all about drive off. If you get into the throttle just a little too much, especially when you're dealing with the what I call the turtles there, but with the red stripes, it's going to be enough to offset the balance of the truck because the left side is going to be higher than the right, and it's going to have a tendency to spin the truck. It's all about throttle control coming out these corners, getting yourself set up for entry, and just letting the truck drive through the middle and getting yourself a good run off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, we're at the halfway point through this race. We're going to give you the side-by-side action. Me and Mike are going to grab a quick drink of water, and we'll be right back.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, folks, welcome back live to the Chevy Silverado 250 three-wide racing eSports league. And, a great race so far, honestly. Besides, we're seeing, our fair share of guys going off the track. We kind of just seen our first incident there a couple laps ago. But nothing crazy, really. I mean, we still have 11 cars still out on the track. The four of Michael Flees and the seven of Robert DuPont seem to be the only two guys that are marked as out of the race right now. AJ DeMarzo holding on to about a 6.5 second lead, give or take, as he is coming up on the 19 of Randy Coaching. He may be able to get him a lap down. But let's go through the field. Let's take a look at some of these guys and what they're running tonight, as far as paint wise. As we take a look at our race leader, running that DeMarzo Gears inspired race paint, and it's a good looking paint, and he's out there, showing them colors off. Got himself a nice lead, and we'll see if he could hold on to it.
Yeah, he's been setting the pace here, just not over pushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a look back at second. Nick Rader in the 88, three wide racing, inspired paint. That's a clean looking truck. He's running second, chasing down AJ. And if he can't get him, I'd still be pretty happy to, get a top 5 finish at a road course like this. But Nick is he's chasing him down, and back, still in third. And I mean, this is incredible because John Kaya, we've seen him spin the truck out. We've seen him get collected in that incident with Carlos Ramos a few laps ago. Still holding on to that third position. I mean, that takes a lot of fight to be able to regroup and hold on the way he has. But doing a really good job. But he does have the 42 of Matthew Jaggard right on his tail, up 8 spots from the drop of the green flag. I mean, Matt has been taking these guys to town, and it's going to be interesting to see if, Matt could kind of get by John in the later part of the race, slide his way into a top 3 finish. And then we kind of look back here at George Rincon, another guy involved in the incident with Carlos Ramos, up 8 spots as well, sitting on a top 5 right now.
Yeah, and he's got that classic Dale Earnhardt Goodwrench black, just always a classic go-to paint. Just great color combination, the black, the white, the red. Always one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. You know what? There's 2 types of paints that I like. The nice flashy ones that you could tell guys put a lot of work into. And then you bring out the Dale Earnhardt, Intimidator black. I mean, there's nothing like it.
No, there's not.
We'll take a look back here. The 21 Carlos Ramos, we mentioned, several times involved in an early incident. He's working right now the 82 of Mike Everidge as they go down to Mario Andretti straightaway, which is really long uphill into a hard braking zone. Mike is able to make the pass on him, and that will be for the 6th position as we take a look at Mike out of Melbourne, Kentucky. Three wide racing league president, so he's one of the owners here for the league, doing a heck of a job, fighting his way up through the field, looking pretty good in that 82 paint. And we will drop on back to the 444 Peter Harborough, out of Canada. So a home race, if you will, for Peter. Looking to hold on. He's, got himself a top 10 right now, and, up 3 spots from the drop of the green flag, so not doing too bad.
Yeah, he's doing a good job